So now I know I have the mic working better. So hopefully this video, the sound is a lot better quality. We'll take a look. So today we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about ratios. And a ratio is simply when we are comparing two numbers with the same unit. So for instance, we could say the ratio of boys to girls in your class is 4 to 5. So 4 girls, 5 boys, that would be a ratio. The other thing we're going to talk about is a rate. A rate is a comparison of two things where we have different units. So we could talk about 60 miles for 1 hour. That would be an example of a rate. So you may see that as written as 60 miles per hour. That is an example of a rate. So a couple things we're going to be doing today. We're going to be looking at trying to find the better cost. So for instance, you may go to the store and you might find that you've got one box of cereal that's $3.25 and that's for 14 ounces. And you got another box of cereal, same brand of cereal, and it is $4.60. But for this one, you get 20 ounces. So you may want to figure out which one's the better deal. So to figure out which one the better deal is, you would be finding something called a unit rate. So one of the things that they ask you to find today is a unit rate. Forgive me for my poor spelling. Unit rate. So unit rate is how much for one. So in this case, we want to find out the price per ounce. So if I take 325, $3.25, I should say, divided by 14 ounces, I would say that my unit rate is approximately 23 cents per ounce. Okay, if I were to look at my other box and we take $4.60, divide that by 20 ounces, I get exactly 23. So this one was 23.2. This one, if I take $4.60 divided by 20 ounces, you would get exactly 23 cents per box, per ounce, excuse me. So which one's the better deal? The better deal would be the cheaper one. So in that case, the one that was $4.60 for the 20-ounce box would be a better deal. Okay? That's one thing you're going to be asked to do today is find unit rates. So you're just finding out how much it is for one. The other thing that you're going to be doing today is you're going to be doing conversions. These conversions can get a little tricky, but we're going to be using something called unit analysis. Unit analysis. Okay, so unit analysis is when we're changing from one unit to another. So for instance, we looked at an easy one. If I said we had, let's see here, 300 minutes. I want to convert my minutes into hours. Okay? Well, many of us know that there is 60 minutes in 1 hour. So 60 minutes, this is our conversion, is equal to 1 hour. So in unit analysis, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to use some ideas that we have used with, as a calculator, by the way. No one lost their life there. So we're going to set up an equation where we can find out how many hours. So what we would do, we would use the conversion of 60 minutes to 1 hour, and we would multiply here by 1 hour over 60 minutes. Now labels are just like fractions. If I was working with 2/3 times 3 over 4, I know that my 3's would cancel out diagonally. The same way, the minutes would cancel out diagonally. So what I'm left with is 300 hours over 60, which they get a little more complicated. So for instance, if I want to change 12 inches, let's make that 12 feet. 12 feet into centimeters. Well, the first thing I have to know is that there are 12 inches is equal to 1 foot. Okay? If you look to the back of your book, you're going to find some conversions in the back of your book as well. I will get you a page. One moment. So I found your page for you, the page that you would want to mark in your textbook. It's page 814. 814 has all of your conversions that you would need. Okay, so you would need to know, as I was saying, 12 inches in 1 foot, and then you also need to know that in 1 inch, there's 2.54 centimeters. Okay, so if I were to convert this one, I know that I want to get out of feet and into centimeters. So my first conversion, I'm going to change from feet into inches. So I know for the last one that I know that feet need to be on the bottom so that the feet would cancel out with this feet. So I have 1 foot here, 12 inches on top. Okay. So then from that, I know my feet would cancel out, and now my unit would be inches. So now, the next thing you need to do, you need to change from inches into centimeters. So once again, diagonal of inches, I need to have the other inches. So in 1 inch, there is 2.54 centimeters. So now if I do that, my inches would cancel out. And what I'm left with is whatever I get when I take 12 times 12 times 2.54. 12 times 12 times 2.54. You get the answer of 365.76. And the label, the only label left is centimeters. Okay, so let's do maybe one more of these. So for instance, we can also use this for converting rates. So for instance, if I had 60 feet per second, and I want to change that into kilometers per hour. So in the end, I want to be in kilometers per hour. So some things you're going to need. You're going to need to go from seconds to hours. So I know from seconds, there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. And I know in 1 minute, or excuse me, there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Okay, now the conversion that isn't going to be as easy is from feet into kilometers. So if we were to look at page 814, we were looking at a length one, and we want to figure out how can I go from length into, conversion from units, customary units, into metric units. If you look about halfway down the page, on page 814, you would find that in 1 mile is equal to 1.61 kilometers. And I have my decimal now. So 1.61 kilometers. Okay, so that would get you from miles and kilometers, but we also need to know that there's 5,280 feet is equal to 1 mile. So we're going to need to use all of the use conversions in order to go from feet per second into kilometers per hour. So it doesn't matter where to start with, but if I look here, got seconds. I need to get rid of 60 seconds. So I've got 60 seconds. I have 1 minute. Okay, so now if you look, the seconds would cancel out. So the next thing you look at, okay, now I'm in feet per minute. So I'm going to have to take the 60 minutes per hour, and the 60 would now go on top because then diagonally the minutes would cancel out, and that's 60 minutes in 1 hour. So now my minutes would be canceled out. So now I'm in feet per hour. So now, next thing I need to get rid of, I need to get rid of my feet and get it into kilometers. So if I look down here, feet to miles, I've got 5,280 feet in 1 mile. So I can take 5,280 feet, and that's 1 mile. Okay, so now my feet cancel out, and now I simply have to go from miles into kilometers. So if I look at this one here, at the bottom, I know that in 1 mile there is 1.61 kilometers. So I multiply it by 1.61 kilometers to 1 mile. So now my miles will cancel out. And my label that I'm left with is kilometers. Kilometers right here is kilometers. And my label on the bottom is hours. So I got kilometers per hour. So now, how do I figure it out? Well, across the top, I have 60 times 60 times 60 times 1.16. So 60 times 60 times 60 times 1.61 equals a very large number, 347,760. And on the bottom, you would take, the only thing you have is 1 times 1 times 5,280 times 1. So on the bottom, pretty simply get 5,280. So you take this 347,760 divided by 5,280, and you would get 65.86 kilometers per hour. Okay. Now, I hope you can try some of them on your own. If you have questions tomorrow class, we'll certainly take a couple questions before we get started. And at this time, you can stop the video,